Raise of hands. Who in here thinks they make decisions? Talk about decision making now. And that's what we want with customers. We're trying to get them to make decisions. Who in here believes that they, the way you work, not what our customers, but what you make decisions logically? 17 of us, well over half. Okay.
Not only logic.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your logic is what allows you to make those decisions, right? That's what you're saying. Okay. True or false? Men are more logical by nature than women in making decisions. I may say true. That women are more emotional when they make decisions than men.
I'm going to say false. Just to be
All right, we're going to go back to that in a moment. But first, we're going to take some time and we're going to talk about, we've all heard the left side, the right side. There's two things that we make that process all of the information. We've got the left side of the brain, which is the logical side. That's what they use logic, they're detail-oriented, that portion. Look at facts, that's the ruling measure. Words and language, concrete things. They look at the present and the past. That part of the brain is the one that goes back in time and recalls memories, recalls the different things that happened. It is reality-based. It forms strategies. It's practical and it's safe. The things we do, that's on the left side of the brain. The right side of the brain is our creative side, our emotional side. Logic, emotion. And that side, these are feelings. This is the right side, feeling-oriented. Big picture, not detail. It is imagination, not facts. It is, instead of math and science, it's philosophy and religion. It is fantasy-based versus reality-based. And it's risk-taking versus safe. We all have both sides. So it's not saying we're defining a person, we're defining the way our brain functions. When we take a risk, it's the right side of the brain that's working. When we take a safe, it's the left side of the brain. When we look at facts and figures, it's the left. When we look at how we feel, it's the right side. Logical, emotional. Who were the people that said they make decisions logically? Raise your hand. I'm here to tell you you're wrong, and I'm going to prove it. I'm going to use logic to prove emotion. We do not make decisions logically. We are emotional, deal with it. We have to deal with it as sales pros, as rock stars. Let's go back to rock star for a second. You really think our love for a rock star is logical? We wear their stuff everywhere. You ever go to a Jimmy Buffett concert? You ever go to a John Bon Jovi concert? You ever go to a Kiss concert? You think that's logical? Rock stars, they live where we want to be fantasy, where we are emotional. We don't decide to go to a concert to see a rock star because we go through our facts and our figures. How many times have you been asked to go to a concert? Unless it's, I can't afford it, you're making an excuse because when you want to go, you're going to figure it out. Because there's something that connects you to that. There's an emotional connection. And we decide to follow a rock star. Favorite band, we talked favorite song. Logic? No, it's emotion. How many of you here have heard of Daniel Pink? He's an author, sold about 5 million copies. A lot of the educators follow Daniel Pink thinking. And one of his books, a new mind, he talks about emotions literally are the gatekeeper to decision making. And I think it's a great analogy. Nothing gets through to decision without passing through emotion. You believe it? Do you?
Yes.
How many of those that said that they made decisions logically? Hold your hand up if you still think you do. Okay? No, it's fine. I mean, there's not enough information here to change everyone's mind. I'm getting there. It's coming. If you think you still make decisions logically, I'm going to prove it to you. You don't. And it's not because I think it's that way. It's not because I want to have a good storyline here. It's not because I want to get you guys all motivated to go tell good stories. It's because it's based in science. How many customers, if you had, damn, I just wish they'd make a decision? Yes, no, maybe, just maybe. A simple yes or no. That's all. Don't jack me around. A simple yes or no. You know what that is that's missing? It's the story we talked about. It's that flying to the east, meeting with that person for 15 minutes. That's what's missing. They've got all those analytics, those data, that facts and figures. They're going around like crazy. And they're just getting right back like a gerbil, right back to that wheels is going, and they can't get off of it. They can't take that information and shift it to saying, here's what I want to do. And I said it was going to be all about the science. I am going to prove to you, I bet, that it's in the science. You're going to watch a video here in a minute of an interview. This gentleman is a neuroscientist. And he did a study, the research, on patients with traumatic brain injuries. And he did the research on those that had right brain damage, the creative, emotional side. And he found something that was extraordinary, even to him. He did not expect to see and to find what he did. And what he found is those patients that had damage to the right side could have a rational conversation, could talk to you, you would not know a single thing was wrong with them, but they couldn't make a decision. Literally could not make a decision. Any decision. When you had right side brain damage. They had healed, they were fine, they were functional, they couldn't make decisions. That's not all of our customers don't make decisions that have right side brain damage. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we've got to trigger that right side if we're going to get someone to make a decision. In the case with the brain injury, there was no triggering. They couldn't trigger it because it was damaged. So we have to trigger the right side. And how do you do it? Through facts and figures? No. Facts and figures wrapped in a really good purposeful story. So listen to this interview from Antonio, not close, Damasio.
1 out of every 2 men and 1 out of every 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer. But despite those huge numbers, most individuals don't know what that really means.
Forward TV. The world is thinking.
One of the most famous patients you had was a fellow named Elliot, who was a very successful person, suffered this damage, and whose life went down the tubes, basically made a series of terrible decisions. Another case that has always fascinated me, the scene you describe in one of your books, one of your patients who also has trouble making decisions, and you're asking him, at what point should we schedule the next appointment, Tuesday or Wednesday? And as you describe it in the book, he spends, I think, 20 or 30 minutes saying, well, Tuesday has this advantages, Wednesday has this advantages, unable to make up his mind.
Right, exactly. And that is a very illustrative example because it shows you on the one hand that the cognitive abilities, the ability to manipulate data and to make analysis of costs and benefits in a very cold way is maintained. And people can still do that. Well, but the thing I most liked in these patients when we asked them about restaurants, and this was really quite remarkable, and they said, well, what restaurant do you want to go to tonight? He said, well, we could go to this one. And they said, but I take it that this restaurant has been rather empty recently, so that's probably a bad sign. It's a sign that the food may not be so good. On the other hand, it's true that if it is more empty, we're likely to get a table, and therefore we should go there. But then, and the thing will go on endlessly until you really feel like pounding on the table and say, well, get real and choose. But the reason why they can't choose is that they haven't got this sort of lift that comes from emotion. It is emotion that allows you to mark things as good, bad, or indifferent, literally in the flesh. And it is that kind of emotional impetus that they are lacking. They cannot conjure up for a given situation an emotional state that would decide them in one direction or another. And of course, this is something that we all can relate to. We're constantly being swayed in what we do by just a little teeny change, something that comes, for example, from our past experience with a certain kind of situation. But what we remember from a previous situation that is like that is not just the facts and not just the outcome that it may be good or bad. We also remember whether or not what we felt was good or bad. And this is something that people need to understand, is that when you are making decisions any day of your life, and of course the options you make are going to produce a good or a bad outcome or something in between, you do not only remember what the factual result is, but also what the emotional result is. And that tandem of fact and associated emotion is critical. And of course, most of what we construct as wisdom over time is actually a result of cultivating that knowledge about how our emotions behaved and what we learn from them.
Now, how many think they make decisions logically? So you have logic as part of it, but I guarantee you don't. Let me ask you a question. How many of you, when you really want to get your point across, just do facts and figures? Would you try to tell in a way that you would get someone to believe you? If you make your decisions logically, why are you trying to convince someone else through a story? You're the same way. How many of you in here have a special memory? Something in your past, something that was special. We tell that story over and over and over and over and over and over. Memories. Make a memory. How many times you heard that? Make a memory. Not make a stat sheet. Make a memory. Every one of us, even the most logical in their approach, use emotion to make a decision. I don't know, if you take and you have something that affects the right side and they can't make a decision, it's pretty strong proof. Something is connected there. There may be some weird exceptions, short, small exceptions, but the reality is, if there is scientific data to say if you don't have the right side of your brain functioning properly, you can't even decide where to go to a restaurant, where to go eat. There's something to it. And to me, when we're in sales, if that means there's 10% that there's an exception, I got 90% of my audience that I'm in front of that's going to listen to a story versus facts and figures. I'm there. So even if there is the 10% that somehow still think it's logical, let's push them aside. We got 90% of the people we come across every day. They're exactly what that scientist is.